All right, well, this is Math 1314, College Algebra. I'm going to turn this one off just, well, you know what, that's probably not too bad. We can just leave that one off. Math 1314. So the first thing that we need to do is make sure that you are in the right class. And what I mean by that, oh, my name's Robert D. Giovanni. And how many of you, this is like your first semester here at this college? Huh? Everyone else has been here? Okay. All right, so I'm a full-time instructor here, teaching in the summer. I only teach one class face-to-face. This is it. And then I have 3 internet classes. But those are Cal 1, Cal 2, and Cal 3. So that's kind of what else I do in the summer. But it's important for you to understand that the college algebra class that you're in does not feed into the pre-cal track. So let me explain what I mean by that. I guess what I'm getting at is you have to kind of know what your major is right now, or else this could be a waste of your time. What is going on with my computer? So we have, we have two 1314s. We have 1314, that's the one you're in, and then we have 1414. Are you all aware of the fact that there are 2 of these? Anyone like, oh? Okay, so this is 1314, and this is kind of like the end road. This class does serve, what the heck is going on? Does serve as a prerequisite for some courses. But for the most part, 1314 is kind of like the end of the math road. 1414, this is what you would need if you're going to go into like pre-cal, or if you're going to go into calculus. So if you're engineering major or something like that, you're in the wrong class. So is there anyone who is concerned at all that they might be in the wrong class? Everyone's good? Everyone's very confident that you're in the right place? Okay. If for some reason you realize later, you need to let me know as soon as you know that, all right? Now, the difference between these two is like night and day, all right? When I first started teaching here, there was only one course. It was 1314. Everybody had to take it, and it was really designed to prepare people for pre-cal. And what was happening is you had a bunch of people failing college algebra, and so they had some other major, but they couldn't get through the college algebra. So at some point, we split it into 2 different courses for the people going on with more math and the people who don't need it. So what we've done is I hate to say it on camera, but we have really watered down college algebra. I mean, this is, if you put in the effort, then you should get through this. I was talking with one of my colleagues who just finished the May semester, which is I think 5 weeks, and she had 15 out of 16 students pass. So as long as you're putting in the effort, you should be okay. Now, I don't know where you are mathematically, okay? So there are some things that I assume you know how to do coming in here, but as long as you have those basics down, then you should be okay, all right? I think the biggest struggle we'll have in here is we do have some word problems throughout the semester. So word problems are always an issue with all students. So, but we'll work through plenty of them. What is going on? I haven't turned this computer on in like 2 months, so I think it's... All right, so let's start with the syllabus. And I don't want to take too much time with the syllabus because I know you can all read, but there are some things that you need to know going in. So let me get to this. Oops. All right, so I'm assuming everybody can get to the main site, and I'm also assuming everyone can log in to ACES. And that See if I can remember my password. Yes, okay, so does this look familiar? Anyone not know how to get into the ACES? Okay, so you get in here, you go to your courses, and then you drop down menu here to summer 2018, and you should have listed there the classes you're enrolled in, and you click on college algebra, and this is, it won't look exactly like this. It's actually going to look like that without that pinkish bar at the bottom. That's what it should look like for this class, all right? How many of you have been here already? Okay, so if you haven't, please take time to come here to kind of navigate to see what things look like. But I'm going to leave the student view real quick, and I'm going to just talk about the email. So over here on the left-hand side is an inbox, and that's where all official communication between us has to occur. So if you need to email me for some reason, don't email me from your Hotmail account or Gmail account. It'll get filtered out. I won't ever get it. So that's our official means of communication for this course, all right? And it's, you know, I'll let you go in there and mess with it. It's a basic inbox, drop-down menus. I think you can figure it out. All right, any questions there? All right, let's go back to the student view. All right, so the first thing is this, on this home page is this class packet. So part of the reason we also split up the course into 13, 14, 14, 14 was because the cost for the book, okay, because the book that we were using, we used for 2 classes, so it was, you know, $150, $200 book. And so what we've done is we put together a packet. Now, anybody get this yet? How much was it? Like $12. $12? Okay. So was it just loose? Yeah, it's loose, 3-hole punch, right? So you just put that in a binder. Just get a small binder. I believe in room 111A in this building, we have a bunch of binders, leftover binders that are free. So I don't know how many they have left, but if you want, you can go down there and see, hey, you know, ask the person working at the desk, do you have any, you know, leftover binders? And you can put it in a binder. I did mine a little different, but please bring this to class every day. This has your homework assignments in it. It has what we're going to cover, and that's all you need for the class, and a calculator. But this packet, I will post the packet up here, and a lot of times I will post it or project it so that we can work the word problems without me having to write them all out. Okay, so that's the packet. That's the link for it. If you don't want to buy it, you can just click on that and you can print it out yourself at home or something. But it's 120 pages. So if you have a printer at home that you want to waste your ink on, go ahead. Not $12 at the bookstore, right? Okay, next thing is the schedule. So the schedule is something that you can print out. And it shows what we're going to do. And I decided to go ahead and print it out for you today. So please take one copy and pass these around. I went ahead and 3-hole punched them for you also. And if there are any extras, just kind of get them to everyone. This is a tentative schedule that shows what I intend on covering. All right. So I'll let them get passed out first. Extras, just bring them over this way. Do we need any more? One more over here? You could pass one over. All right, so this is a day-by-day view of what we're going to be doing. So you can see today we are going to talk about the syllabus. We're going to talk about fractions and expressions. We're going to do also order of operations and review of linear equations. And these are the homework assignments. The pages out of the packet, and then within the packet you'll see where it's listed where it says homework. So any homework assignments that fall into these groups of pages are to be completed by next class, not next week or anything. Oh yeah, next class, which is Wednesday. So you've got this evening, and then you've got Tuesday, and then when we come back Wednesday, I would expect that you have worked those problems. I'm not collecting homework I'm actually even going to provide you the answers to the homework. It's on you to actually work the problems. What I would expect is that perhaps you come in and say, hey, I looked at the answer, I couldn't get to that answer, I need some help on that. And we'll address questions at the beginning of class. We'll do a couple of, maybe 3 or 4 questions I'll answer. All right, that makes sense? Okay. But you have to do homework, all right? I mean, this is not high school, all right? So there's no participation grade here. It's all what you can produce on tests, all right? All right, so any questions on the schedule? There are a couple things on the schedule I need to talk to you about. On June 20th, we have our first exam. I have a commitment on this date, and so what I'm going to have is a sub come in and administer the test. You'll take the test and you will leave, all right? So that's the first thing. So that doesn't really impact you at all. However, on July 16th and 18th, we're covering quite a bit of stuff here, all right? And then we have an exam that following Monday. Again, I have a commitment on those 2 days. So we have an option, right, for those 2 days as to what to do. We can't just not do them, all right? So we have 2 choices. And I'm actually going to have you vote. I don't know if I'm going to do this today or on Wednesday. I might let you think about it a little bit. I'm going to have you vote. Let's say we'll do this Wednesday, all right? On what you would prefer to have take place on these 2 days. Option 1 is that I prepare a video lecture for you that would be like me up teaching the topics, and you are responsible for watching those and then doing the homework on your own, and you do not have to come to class. So that week you would have that week off, but you have the responsibility of watching videos at home. All right. Now, for some of you, you're like, great, fine, that works. Others might be like, no, I don't like that. So the other option is that I get a sub in here, another instructor to come in and present those topics. So give you a day or so to think about that, and then we'll vote. Is that okay? And I think I'm looking hopefully for a strong majority. Hopefully it won't be like 50-50, because then I won't know what to do. If it gets close, like too close to call, I think by default we'll go to the sub, because the video lecture is kind of non-traditional. It's not really, I have to assume that you have internet access and that you are willing to watch videos, so we will go to the sub if it's too close, all right? Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so that's the schedule. Let's get that out of here. All right, now the class videos of class lectures, all that's going to do is take you to a YouTube playlist. Right now there's nothing in here because this is our first video, right? But as I do the videos, I'll go back to my office after class, I'll upload the videos. It'll probably show up as maybe 3 or 4 videos because I don't edit them. I just throw them up there, and the camcorder breaks it down into 1-hour clips. So since this class is longer than an hour, it could be like maybe 3 or 4 videos, all right? But I'll have them labeled in some way so that you know what they are. And they'll show up in sequential order, where the oldest will be on the top and the newest will be on the bottom. So if you miss a class, for some reason, what I always expect is that if you're going to miss, at least just email me, say I'm not going to be there today. You don't need to give me some long explanation as to why. Just let me know you're not going to be here, and then watch the video before you start asking me what did I miss, and because most of the time it's all going to be in the video. All right, so that's the link. Now, I have old class lectures that were done, I think, 2 years ago. And why don't we just look at one of these to give you an idea of what they look like. I'm going to mute it. So that's basically what you're going to get there, okay? It's me working through the problems out of the packet, all right? So if you ever want to maybe get ahead or something, you can go look at that. But I will say there should be a little asterisk here. Like the way I teach this class, is very different. Like I haven't taught this class in 2 years. So every time I teach it, I do it a little different. And that's because, like I said, this is 13, 14. This is like the end of the road. We have a lot of freedom to kind of focus more on one thing or go down some, topic and go off onto a, some random thing, as opposed to 14, 14, where we have a very strict schedule that we have to cover everything. All right, so if you do watch any of my old videos, just realize that it might be a little different than what I do in here. All right. Okay, now files, this takes you to just another way to get to the packet and to the schedule that I handed out. Like if you lose that, you can come here and print that out. And then you also have the solutions. The files is kind of dumb to have that there. I should just take that out because everything that's in files is out here. And then the homework solutions. All right, so let's take a look at this because I actually have not looked at this. Download this. This should just be answers. Solution manual. I doubt there's much work shown. Yeah, it's just answers. All right? Make sense? Okay. And that's pretty much it. Now, the syllabus is right here under the home. This is what I said. I didn't want to read this whole thing because you can read and we could take an hour doing this, but there are some important things to point out. I have my cell phone number here if you need to contact me for any reason. Even if you're at home working on some problem and you're stuck, what you can do is like take a picture of your work and like text that to me, and then I can try and find your error and send a picture back to you or something. I've got a phone that you can write on the screen and stuff, so I can. That's the main. This is usually what I do with my internet students, but I offer it to all my students. So if you're ever stuck on something, please don't hesitate to contact me. But just remember, this is not. My cell phone is not the official means of communication. So if you're going to miss a class or you get a flat tire on the way, to the test or something, you can text me. That's fine. But we need something official to look back on. So you'll want to send me an email in addition to that. All right. Questions? If you do text me, please make sure that you include your name and what class you're in. Make this bigger. Make sure you include your name and what class you're in. That way I know who you are. What else? My office hours. Now, I can be here Monday through Thursday. Friday campus is closed. I can be here, but I don't live very far away. I want to do any office hours by appointment. I'll usually get here a little bit before class, and I'll probably stay a little bit after. But I don't have a set office hours. So if you want to meet with me, just give me a little bit of heads up, a day or two, and I'd be happy to come and meet with you if you're struggling with anything. All right. There's also the tutoring lab across the hall that you can go and do your homework and get help there. And they are familiar with the packet. All right, now you are required to also have a calculator. Now it's calling for a very specific calculator. The only reason it's calling for this very specific calculator is so that if I'm presenting something, everybody's got the same keystrokes to do. All right. Now, I am not going to hold you to this. What you need to have is a scientific calculator. And that's, any calculator that you don't understand what all these buttons do, that's a scientific calculator, all right? So bring one of those. You cannot use your phone because you can't use your phone on a test. So I want you to be practicing in class with the calculator you're going to use during the test, all right? Does anyone have that yet? Did you buy it new?
Yeah.
How much was it?
I think $19. Yeah.
Really? 20 bucks? So you're like
Get it on Amazon for like
14. Okay. So I think all in you're probably about 30 bucks in for this class, all right, other than what you paid for the tuition, but materials wise you're under 40 bucks probably. So that's better than having to buy a $200 textbook, I think. All right. So try and get that as soon as possible. Where'd you get that at? Walmart? Target?
The store actually right here. Yeah.
Bookstore?
Yeah.
Okay, so I bet if you go to Walmart or Target, it's going to be a little bit cheaper than that. So try and get that, let's say by next Monday. I'll give you the whole week to get it. Let's see, these are the objectives and outcomes. We're not going to read through that. You really want to kind of know about your grade, right? So the grade, I think, is pretty easy to see how it's broken down. We're going to have homework and quizzes. Now, when I say homework and quizzes, that means it can be any kind of mixture. I told you I'm not going to collect your homework, but I might ask you to take out your homework and I walk around and check it that day. Okay, so like whatever is assigned tonight, next class I may walk in and say, I'm going to take a homework grade. Please bring out your homework. So bring your homework every day, even the homework from the past, all right? Always have it with you. Make sense? Okay. And then quizzes, we'll do all sorts of quizzes in here. And you might have a quiz where you walk in, I give you a quiz over what you were supposed to do the previous homework assignment. I might do a group quiz. I might do a group quiz over what we just talked about. It's gonna vary. Sometimes I'll do open note quizzes where you can use your notes, but you can't help each other. So when I take all those grades, put them together and average them out, that'll form out 20% of your grade. And then you'll have 3 exams that we do in class, and well, 4. The final exam is done in class also. All of these exams are equally weighted. The first 3 exams should be non-cumulative, meaning exam 1 will cover everything we've talked about. Exam 2 should just be the stuff after exam 1. Exam 3 should be the stuff after exam 2. The final is more of a comprehensive where it will incorporate the topics, the main topics for the entire class. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that the schedule, I don't have the schedule here anymore, but I have it here. Your exam 3 is the day before the final. Okay? So you're going to have an exam and then a final the next class. That's just the way it works out in a summer class that's 8 weeks long. So that's what I mean. This exam right here can't possibly cover just the material after exam 3 because there is no material after exam 3. All right? All right. Questions at all? Tutoring, I just talked about. There's tutoring over there across the hall. That's free walk-in. I don't know what their hours are this summer, but they'll have them posted on the door. Now, attendance policy. You're expected to be here, even though I'm recording the videos, right? I believe you're allowed to have 2 absences here. And then you're considered to have, it's considered that you have exceeded the number of absences allowed. So we only meet, I think, 15 or 16 times. So 2 absences is equivalent to like 2 weeks during a normal semester. But, that's because life happens, right? You have things happen, okay? You get a couple of free ones, but after that, just talk with me. Communication's the important thing there. 6 drop rule, I'll let you read about that. SOBI, this is, if I had to summarize this SOBI thing, it's about living in the United States in 2018 and the shit that we have to think about all the time, all right? Like, we have to always be watching out, like, for the way people are behaving, if they're acting strange, if you see someone, saying things, you know what I mean, right? So, we need to be prepared for things. So one thing I do like to talk about is if we have an active shooter, right? We start hearing things out in the hallway. Hopefully it wouldn't start in here, but you never know, right? But let's say we have an active shooter, right? What is our plan? Like, what is our plan?
Stop, drop, and roll.
Stop, drop, and roll. Okay. So there's a saying. I don't know what the saying is, but I think it's like luck is preparation meets opportunity or something like that. So a little bit of preparation. There's stairwells and stuff. Of course, there's an exit point there, but even though we're on the 3rd floor, I believe this room, there are exit points here. Yeah, so this window is about, I don't know, it's about 8 feet, maybe 6 to 8 feet onto an awning. And that awning, you could probably run out to and jump off, and you'd survive that fall for sure. So we could possibly breach this window. Actually, that one's better. The awning goes up a little bit over there. So both of these windows are exit points. Now we'd have to get through them, but you throw something through there, right? we have an option of, curling up in the fetal position underneath our desks or trying to escape, right? So those are 2 exit points. And then this side of the room, you will barricade the door while this side of the room gets out. Yeah. So that brings us to another point. It's sad that we have to talk about this, right? Yeah. But this is the way it is. One thing about the doors is that, like right now, the doors is open, right? So how do y'all feel about this? Do y'all want to keep it closed? So we can keep it closed where it's I can actually keep it locked so that you have to, this doesn't work. Now the window doesn't help. But we could do that, keep it closed and locked. Yeah? What do y'all think? If it were up to me, I'd like to just keep this locked. All right? And now there's a thing on all these doors, and I hate this thing. I can't believe they put this here. This is a magnetic thing that you put here to cover up the door so that if you need to leave to go to the restroom, you don't have to, knock and have someone let you back in. So like that. Oop, it came on. Oh, wow. It'd be cool if it did that automatically, but it doesn't. I don't like this because then the doors... Well, shit, this door doesn't even lock. Okay, yeah. So I'm not a fan of these. If you have to use the restroom, just leave and then knock and come back in. You don't mind opening it, right? Okay, so yes? Okay. All right, so we'll lock that. Right now it's not locked, but I will do that. All right. Okay, so what else? That's what that statement's about. So just keep your ears open, We had to evacuate the building last semester. And was anyone here when we evacuated? There was a bomb threat. It was actually something someone wrote on a stall in the men's room.
That was it?
That was it. Yeah.
So there wasn't an actual bomb?
Yeah, no. It was a threat, but nowadays you can't.
You never know.
You never know. Okay, there's a statement in here about associate degrees that's required that I have this in here, and then calculators, blah, blah, blah. There's the schedule. All right. Let's go back to our home. Okay, so we had the syllabus. This is a discussion board. Even my internet students don't use the discussion board, even though I tell them, that's how you can get bonus points. If you want to have a discussion with your classmates about anything that's going on in here, that's where it can happen, all right? It's not required, but I wanted to leave that here just in case, all right? And then your grades, I'm not going to, what happens when I click on this? Yeah, so it'll just start showing your grades here. Whoa, what are all those? Wow. Okay, well, I'll go and update that. And then people, I don't think you'll need this, but that's how you can email classmates. Make sure that you're not harassing your classmates. And then the files. And now these 2 things, I should probably take these off here. This is like an online tutoring service that the college pays for. I have never had a single student tell me that they've used it or that it's useful. But if you go there, it's like a tutor somewhere in the world that interacts with a whiteboard. It's like a live whiteboard interaction. Who knows? It might be. I don't want to not put it there because the college pays for it. That's what it is. And then this Collaborate Ultra is actually a place that you can go where you can create your own whiteboard session with your classmates if you wanted to. Again, I've never had a students do this, but if you're interested, you could have hey, let's meet online and study. Yeah, I don't see it happening. But all right, we good? Okay, so that's it. I don't think I have anything else. Do y'all have any questions? All right, so I'm supposed to take attendance because this is a state-funded school, right? This is taxpayers pay for, I know you pay tuition, but a lot of the cost of running this college is paid through taxpayers. So they hold us accountable that the person who was on our list actually came to class. We call those contact hours. So this is a little high schoolish, but I have to take attendance, right? I'm required to, and then I have to turn this in at the end of the semester. So what I have here is you'll see your name somewhere here. You'll see today's date, and then a small box, just initial in that box. And this should go around every day. If I forget, please remind me, because I don't like doing this, so it slips my mind quite often. And we'll start here today. If you're not on this list, just talk to me after class because I just printed that out right before class. So it's the most accurate list that I have. So if you're not on it, we need to figure out what's going on. All right, well, I think I'm ready to do this, as long as you all are. Whoa. That high-pitched noise is really bothering me. Like I have dog hearing or something. All right, get out of there. So let me tell you about this packet. I can't stand this packet. All right, this is a departmental thing that was put together. And don't show me this message again. There we go. It was put together, and again, it was about the cost to the student in trying to provide like resources that would be inexpensive, but it doesn't really show you how to do any math. It just presents problems and homework sets. And so there's no instruction in this packet as far as how to do something. So that's what I've got to do is fill in all the gaps and make sure you understand how to actually do the procedures, right? So we're going to start out here. I think it's going to be a review. It's going to be a review for a while. And for some of you, this may be a review for the entire semester. It just depends on your background. I've had students in this class that took pre-calculus in high school, but their major, the major that they've chosen in college makes it so that they just need this class. So they're going to know how to do everything, and this is going to be a tough 8 weeks of sitting through stuff they already know how to do, but it is what it is. All right, here we go. We're gonna start with multiplying and dividing fractions. And then we're going to go to adding and subtracting fractions. And see, like I said, there's no instruction here. It's just, here's some problems. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a reminder of how to do this stuff. So how do we, not add, how do we multiply fractions? Why is it that we do multiplication of fractions and division of fractions before we do addition and subtraction of fractions? It's easier, okay? It's actually easier to multiply and divide fractions than it is to add and subtract. So we do it first. But when you were growing up, you learned addition and subtraction before you learned multiplication and division. So with fractions, it's backwards. So we go to multiply fractions. I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna give you a fraction a over b times c over d. So that would be two fractions being multiplied together with the dot between them, right? If we do that, all we do is multiply straight across. So this would be equal to a times c over b times d. All right. So I'm trying to give you some little, if you like little formulas and stuff like that, this is the formula for it. But really at the end of the day, it's just multiplying straight across. So as an example of this, I'll do one of these first ones on the packet. I don't want to switch back and forth, but let me see here. If we do, as an example of this, 4/9 times 3/16. That good? Okay, thank you. Then according to this formula, all you have to do is multiply straight across, right? So I would do 4 times 3 and then 9 times 16, right? So let's just do that, and we'll see we're going to get some big numbers. What we have, 12 on top, right? And then 9 times 16, I don't know, maybe you break out your calculator, your little calculator there that you bought, or if you know how to do it. What is it, 140? 144? All right? Okay? And that would be correct. That is not wrong, but it's not what we would consider simplified. It's not reduced because we have numbers that go into both of these. So what we want to do is we want to reduce all of our fractions here. Not because it's more correct, but that's just standard protocol. So how do you, how do you reduce this fraction? What is the thought process behind reducing this?
You can divide 1.4 by 12.
Pardon?
You can divide 1.4 by 12, and you can divide 12 by 12.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're trying to, when we say reduce the fraction, we mean try and find a number that goes into both the numerator and denominator. Okay, in the biggest number we can find. So the biggest number that you found was 12, right? Does everyone agree 12 goes into 12 once and 12 goes in this 12 times? Now, if you didn't see 12 going into both right away, you could try for something smaller, like 2, right? So like I could say 2 goes into 12 6 times, so this would be equivalent to that, and 2 goes into this 72 times. And then I could try it again, right? And keep going until 2 goes into 6 3 times, and then 2 goes into this 36 times. And then, well, 2 doesn't go into these, but 3 goes into both of these, right? So 3 goes into 3 once, and 3 goes in. So you would get to the same place, right? 112. Is that all right? Okay, is there another way to do this problem?
You can simplify it before you start.
Okay, before we even started, we could have tried to do something. So let's go back to this. If we start here, because this is multiplication, we can actually try and do the same thing we did here with these numbers. So we can take a look at maybe the 4 and realize that 4 goes into both 4 and 16, right? So how many times does 4 go into 4? Once, and 4 goes into 16 4 times, right? And we could go even further than that and realize that 3 goes into both of those, right? And so you could say 3 goes into 3 1 time, and 3 goes into 9 3 times. I'm just showing you a different way, that's all, because some of you are more comfortable with this way. So at the end of this, we have 1/3 times 1/4. That's where we are. Everything's reduced out. And then if we multiply straight across here, we get our 1/12 again. Okay, so I don't care which way you do this, but you just need to be able to get to 1/12. We good? All right. Now, let's try division. So with division, we'll change the symbol there in between them to division. How do I do division of fractions? What's that? Copy, dot flip? Oh, I've never heard that before. Okay, so you copy this down. You don't touch the first fraction. You just leave it alone. And then you change your division into multiplication. That's your dot, right? And then you take the second fraction and flip it over. So it becomes d over c. So anytime you want to do division of fractions, what you're actually doing is converting it to a multiplication. But it's not exactly the same. This fraction has to get flipped over. All right? Now, let's do an example of this. 7/8 divided by 2/9. So if we want to do that, we're going to go 7/8. We're going to just leave that one alone. We're going to change division to multiplication, and then we're going to flip the second fraction over, like that. And now to do multiplication, we go straight across. Now, could we do any of that thing that we did a second ago where it's like numbers? I don't see anything. Like 2 doesn't go into 9, 2 doesn't go into 7. Like, can't find any common factors. So there's nothing we can do here. Let's just multiply straight across. We're going to get, what, 63 over 16? And we know that this is reduced all the way because if it went reduced any further, we would have had something happen here when we were trying to do the cancellation. So that should be it right there. Now here's a danger zone with this. At the beginning, if you try and do 2 and 8, right, like 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times, can't do that. You cannot do any of that until after you've done the flipping. Then you go look to see if anything cancels out. All right, so just be careful with that. Questions? We're good? Okay. So I would appreciate if you actually do have a question, don't feel like you're going to embarrass yourself. I mean, maybe you are, but who cares, right? It's your grade, it's your knowledge, it's your education, right? Who cares? I think that's part of what's wrong with the world today. No one is willing to. I need to shut up. I'm just going to shut up. I just came back from a trip with some friends, and we had a lot of campfire stories. Lots of discussions about the world over campfires, and I need to just shut up. Okay, adding fractions. All right, so when we add fractions, we start to run into some problems. Because when you add fractions, it's actually more complicated than it is to multiply and divide. So if I have a fraction a over b plus c over d, right? Things do not work out as well. So what is this? Is there some quick little easy formula I can give you for this? Well, it turns out there actually is a quick little formula I can give you, but if I give it to you, you're going to be like, "What? Why?" Maybe you'll ask why. But if you want the formula, here it is. It's a times d plus b times c over b times d. What? What? Okay. All right, so I want to give you an example of this, and I want to show you the formula, and then we're actually going to talk about like why it works. All right. So let's do 1/8 plus 2/5. If I take 1/8 and add 2/5 to it, then what would I get? Well, according to this formula, if I'm just like not going to think and just use a formula, what would I do here? I'm supposed to do a times d, right, which is these two multiplied. Yes? So I like to look at it this way. I'm multiplying 5 times 1. Okay, you could go 1 times 5, but I'm just 5 times 1, right, which is 5, plus, now b times c are these two, right? So now I'm going to go 8 times 2, which is 16, over what? B times d, which is these two multiplied. So now I'm going to multiply across the bottom, which would be 40. We okay with that? And what does this become? 21, add the tops, right? 21 over 40. And that does not reduce. There's no numbers that go into both of those. So we're done, okay? Now, why does this formula work? Let's see why it works. Let me rewrite this problem again. 1/8 plus 2/5. Now, when I was saying earlier what makes adding fractions harder, I heard a couple of students say you have to have the same denominator. Okay, so that is correct. To add two fractions together, you have to have the same denominators, don't you? So here, I need to look for a common multiple of 8 and 5. So what would be a common multiple of 8 and 5? 40. Agreed? So what we do is we do something we love doing in math, and that's using this number 1. See, 1 can be anything. 3 over 3. This marker sucks. It could be, ooh, that one's a good one. It could be 5 over 5, right? The number 1 can be written infinitely many ways. These are all equivalent, right? So what we do is we take this and we multiply by a 1 and by a 1 on these two. Okay, 1 times this one and a 1, but we pick it very, very special. We pick the 1 so that we can create that 40, that common number, on both of these denominators. So instead of 1, I'm actually going to write 8 over 8, because that'll create a 40, right? And then over here, instead of a 1, I'm going to write 5 over 5. So what I'm really doing here is I'm taking this right here, I'm taking that fraction, I'm multiplying it by 1, which does not change anything, right? That's kind of the key I didn't say. But when you multiply something by 1, it stays the same. It might look different, but it's the same value, right? So that right there, I do multiplication across, and what would I get? This 5 over 40, right? And then plus, when I multiply across here, I get 16 over 40. Wait a minute. Isn't that this? Isn't that headed towards here? Isn't that what's happening? So when I add these two fractions together, if they have the same denominator, all you do is you keep the denominator and add the two things on top. And then that would take you here. Now, I still don't think I've convinced you where the formula comes from. All I'm trying to do is show you, like, this is the way we would do it without the formula. Do you all agree with that? Have you all seen some version of this before? Is that all right? Okay, now let me show you where the formula comes from. Can I show you that? Okay. The formula comes from this. Let's say I start out with this right here. A over B plus C over D. I need to find a common denominator, don't I? Like in the previous problem, it was 40. But here, the common denominator, these are letters, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this on the top and bottom by D. I'm going to multiply this one on top and bottom by B. And notice that if you do that, the denominator here will be B times D, and the denominator here will be, well, D times B, but that's the same as B times D. So won't they have the same denominators? Okay. So then my next line will be these two multiplied together, A times D over B times D, that's this piece, and then plus C times B, or I'll write it the other alphabetically, B times C over B times D. And now notice they have the same denominator. If I put these two together, I get this, don't I? Okay, so that's where the formula comes from. It's getting you the common denominator automatically. All right? I don't care how you add fractions. You have two ways now. You have the formula, or you can go find your common denominator on your own. But I would expect that you can do these things. Questions on that? What's the difference with subtraction? If we change this to subtraction, what changes? Do you think we have a formula for it? Yes, we do. We actually just have to change this to a minus, and all it does in the formula is changes that to a minus, and you're at the same place. So it's really actually nice. So let's do an example of subtraction. I'm just going to make one up. Let's do 3/8 minus 5/9. They do not have the same denominator, right? So is it all right if I use this? You okay with that? Now, I have this formula memorized. I have it memorized, but I actually have more of the pattern of what I need to do memorized than I do the formula. So what I do is I say I'm going to multiply this times this. Okay, so 9 times 3 is 27, right? I'm going to say minus, now I'm going to go 8 times 5, which is going to be 40. Then over, now I'm going to go 8 times 9, which is 72. So it's here to here, and then whatever this sign is, here to here, that goes there, and then across the bottom goes down on the bottom. And what is that? What's 27 take away 40? It's a negative number, right? Negative what? Negative 13 over 72. So you have an answer that is a fraction that is negative. Now, as good as the formula is, it does not automatically reduce your fractions. So this possibly could reduce. You might have to reduce it. Is that one reduced? Yeah, there's no numbers that go in, unless 13 goes into 72. 4, no. Okay, so we're good. Questions at all? Y'all okay with this? All right, so I've got a new one for you here. Another example. How about this? I'm just going to write it down. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to write it down first. I'm changing the problem that's on here. All right, does anyone want to tell me what that says? Like how I would read that? 7 3/5 minus 2 2/3. All right, so there's lots of different ways that you can go about this. I see this taught in grade school, high schools, different ways, but I personally cannot stand this version of a number. These numbers, the way they're written, are called mixed numbers. And the reason I can't stand them is because most people don't know what it actually means. So when you see 7 3/5, what that actually means is 7 plus 3/5. That's exactly what it means. 7 plus 3/5. And this right here means 2 plus 2/3. All right? So we're going to try and subtract these. So there's, like I said, there's different ways. I've seen people line them up like vertically. How many of you have ever seen this? You do 7 3/5, then you put like minus 2 2/3. Have y'all seen anything like that? And then you try. Okay, I'm not going to do that at all. All right. To me, it's just dangerous. All right. There's so many things you have to account for. Like if this fraction, if 2/3 is bigger than 3/5, then you're going to wind up having to carry over it. So here's the way I suggest you do this. What we're going to do is we're going to take both of these mixed numbers and we are going to convert them into what's called proper fractions. Proper fractions. Now there's a quick way to do it. And let's see if anyone can tell me how to change this into just a number over a number without the 7 in front. 7 times 5, then add this number and then put that over what? The 5. Okay, so let's do that again. You do 7 times 5, which is 35, add 3, which is 38, and then you put it over 5. Y'all seen that before? Okay, now, just so you know what you just did, why that little trick works is because this is what it actually is, right? So if I take this, if I rewrote that as 7 over 1, the first thing that you would do is get a common denominator, right? So the common denominator would be 5. So you just have to multiply that by 5, right? 5 on top, 5 on bottom. So when you do 5 times 7, you would get your 35, and then you'd be adding your 3, and then it'd be over 5. So this will work every single time because that's always going to be 7 over 1 or 2 over 1. So it's just a super shortcut to do it that way. But this is technically what you're doing. We don't care, right? We're just going to do this? Okay. So it's that, and then minus over here what? Same thing, 2 times 3, 6, add 2, 8 over 3. Okay. So we are subtracting 2 fractions now. See, this is back to what we just did, isn't it? So would y'all like to do the little thing like that? Okay, so 3 times 38. 114. Okay, 114 minus 5 times 8, 40, over 15. And then from there, what now? Add them up on the top. What's 114 minus 40? 74 over 15. And that is correct. Okay, that is the correct answer. But that is what we call a proper fraction. Okay, the original problem was were mixed numbers, right? And I put an answer that's a proper fraction. So I would count this completely 100% correct. However, in the solutions for the homework, it's not going to have a proper fraction. It's going to have back into a mixed number. So how do you turn this back into a mixed number? You take 74, and you divide it by 15. So you ask yourself, how many times does 15 go into 74? So you got to do a little work here. Is it 4 times? So 4 times 15 is 60, right? And that leaves you 14. So you subtract this. So what we could say is that this is equal to 4. And then how much do we have left over? 14 over 15. So you take the divisor. The remainder over the divisor is what goes here. This number is what goes out here. So, all right? All right, let's do some word problems now. Because you look like you're ready for some word problems. I have nothing to do with these word problems. All right, if they're really bad and cheesy, it is not my fault. Oh, I think that's about as good as I'm going to get right there. All right, so let's try and have some fun. We're going to put I'm going to put you all on the spot, make you nervous a little bit because I'm going to call on you and you're going to be nervous that you're not going to know it. Okay, so let's do that just for fun. Let's see how embarrassed we can make people in here today. You ready? We're going to start with, and I'm going to help you out. I'm going to let your whole table contribute. All right. So I'm going to ask for this table right here to start us out. Thank you for volunteering. And I want everyone at the table to read this problem. And then I'm going to ask for one volunteer to tell me what we need to do. And we're just working with that table right there right now, okay? But everyone feel free to read it yourself and see if you come up with the correct thing. And whenever you think you have it, just let me know. Don't be shy. If you're shy, I'll just call on you. Anyone? Yeah? Why didn't she say something?
Oh, sorry.
Oh. Okay, so you are?
Jerry.
Okay, I'm not going to learn your names. I'm just going to act like I am. Randall?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just going to put a check mark next to you that shows that you have participated, and that means next time around, you can't be the one. Okay? All right, so what do you think we need to do here?
Well, first, you're going to add 2 1/4 to 5 3/4.
Okay.
So you're going to change it to a proper fraction.
Okay. So does everyone agree that in the word problem, all you need to do is add these two numbers together? Mm-hmm. Yes? Okay, because they want how many total pounds there are of something, and you have 2 1/4 pounds of this, 2 1/4 pound, or 5 3/4 pounds of something else, so you add them up. Okay, I don't even know if we'll work these all the way through. Maybe we'll just set them up and then let you work them yourselves. So this is going to be 2 1/4 plus 5 3/4. And we're going to convert those over. So what would that first fraction look like if we convert it over?
7/4.
7/4?
No, 9/4.
9/4. Okay, I can change that. That's easy.